Misfits 19, Gib versus Slim. What a fight. What a performance from Gib. Really showing the levels there. Pretty dominant performance. Now proving to probably be number 3 in the influencer boxing scene behind Jake Paul and KSI, at least for most lists. But before I get into that fight fully, I want to talk about a couple of the other fights on the card, with the first one being Jarvis versus Ben Williams. I had a lot of respect for Jarvis even taking this fight when it got announced. I thought it was a big step up in competition and a risky fight, a difficult fight. Ben Williams has a lot of amateur boxing experience and has trained for a lot longer than Jarvis has. Jarvis, though, has got to be one of the most dedicated crossover boxers in the scene, really dedicating all of his time into growing and getting better in this sport. One of his biggest attributes has always been his toughness. We saw that in his Tom Zanetti win, really getting pressured in those first few rounds, and then once he gassed himself out, Jarvis started to take over the fight, and that's really what happened here as well. And I didn't really understand that kind of game plan coming from Ben Williams. I don't know if that was the strategy going into this fight. If it was, bad strategy. But maybe in there he just saw that he was winning early on and thought, I can put this guy away, let's go for it. And then completely gasses out in that third round, which is the round Jarvis won. Jarvis completely took over the fight, and you could see the direction that this fight was going in. Because Ben Williams looked great in those first 2 rounds, but I think a lot of viewers were wondering why he was putting on the gas so much. And you got to give credit to Jarvis for even surviving that amount of pressure for 2 rounds and keeping the composure to stay calm and know when to take over. Because Ben Williams was completely gassed. It wasn't even like how most fighters get tired as the rounds go on. He was drained, and there's been a lot of speculation over what happened with that injury. Ben Williams goes down in the 3rd round with an apparent ankle injury. The fight ends there. Jarvis retains his belt, and there's speculation on what happened there, if the injury was real or not. Some people think he faked it. I don't know, but I will say that fight was changing. Jarvis was taking over that fight, and it was heading in his direction. So they're going to run that one back, and I'm excited to see it. Huge improvements for Jarvis, and I think he has some of the biggest potential in this scene. Next up, I want to talk about Deji. Deji versus Dawood Savage, I think his opponent's name is. I don't really have much to say, actually, except that was just embarrassing. I mean, everyone has been saying that already. Anyone who's talking about these fights has already expressed their disappointment in this fight, which everyone kind of saw coming. It's not like this is a surprise. Dawood Savage did a good job, I guess, of running around the ring, staying in it for those first few rounds. The first time Deji really lands anything significant, and this fight is pretty much over. He takes one clean punch, and I think he had enough there. Went down after that and kind of just called it a night. Deji didn't particularly look great. He looked okay. He says now is the time he's going to start taking it seriously. He's not happy with his performance, and now it's really time to step up. But we hear that every fight, and now it's time to do it. Maybe that's a good thing that people won't believe him this time, because he has said that every fight since the Jake Paul loss all those years ago, how he didn't take it seriously. Now I'm going to come back, and it's time to really focus. And then he goes against an opponent like this and does that. And I think people are just tired of the excuses, and they simply don't believe Deji anymore. And maybe that's what he finally needs to turn this thing around. Take another fight. I want him to take a legitimate opponent. I want him to see him against Alex Wasabi. Let's do that rematch. It's the fight that people want to see. Let's run that one back. That's all I got to say about Deji for now. We also had the big co-main event, the fight I was really looking forward to, almost the most. It was close between the main event and this fight, Salt Papi versus King Kenny. My prediction for this fight was a 5th round Salt Papi knockout. He ended up getting it in the 3rd round. Awesome performance for Salt Papi. He really looked like he is implementing the improvements from fight to fight. And I really liked his aggression in this fight. I think he was very smart with when he chose to rush in, when he chose to back out. I really liked the blitzes. He landed his punches, and then he backed out and stayed out of Kenny's counters. Kenny wasn't as effective with the jab as I thought he would be. Salt Papi was a lot better with his defense than I even expected. And in that 3rd round, he caught Kenny clean. If you saw Kenny trying to get up, you know he was out of it. Kenny saying he was okay to keep going. The ref called it off, but it's probably a good thing that the ref called it there because Kenny was out of it. Just watch him trying to get up off of those ropes. And he also said that there was an elbow that landed. That was the blow that put him down. But it really doesn't look like that. It looks like it landed pretty clean on the knuckles. And then maybe the elbow grazed a part of his face, but the significant power of that shot was the knuckles. So, huge win for Salt Papi. He really needed that one. Back to the drawing board for Kenny. It's not over. He's taken losses before. We'll see him back as well. I would love to see Salt Papi versus AnEsonGib. Probably won't get that next. Gib, I think, wants to get a name outside of the influencer scene. I'm not mad if he wants to try to get that kind of fight. I think he has earned a big fight, but I think both Salt Papi and AnEsonGib deserve bigger fights after these victories on this card. The power from Salt Papi, very dangerous. His defense is getting better. I love the footwork, also getting better. He is going to continue to be a problem in the scene. Now, finally, the main event of this card, AnEsonGib versus Slim. My prediction for this fight was Gib by decision, so nice, I did it. I thought it was a little bit of an ugly fight. Great performance by Gib. Kind of went how you would have guessed Gib would have won. Constant pressure. Gib just never stops. His cardio is ridiculous. The best in the scene. And Slim's output was just not enough. And I thought that Slim really did need to land a power punch, land something devastating to put Gib away, because I did not like his odds in winning a fight to a decision. I thought that if this fight was ever going to go the distance, it was always going to be AnEsonGib winning. And Slim, if he was going to win, it was going to be in those early rounds. But Gib's defense was a lot better than I think he anticipated. He did not get caught early like he has been in the past. He kept the tight guard. He's in and out. He never stops moving. He keeps you annoyed, and it's a great fight style, and it gets him victories. And he has been a welcomed addition to Misfits. I think he's great for the company. One of the biggest names in the scene. And I do think he deserves a big fight next. I'd love to see him against Salt Papi. If they can get him the money for that, to take that fight, I would love to see it. But if he gets a fight outside of the scene, I would be okay with that as well. I just want to continue to see him fighting. I think it'd be great. And I think he deserves a big payday. Slim, obviously, still one of the best on the Misfits platform. Lots of names on Misfits for him to fight. It's not like this is the end of Slim. He has lots of opportunities open for him, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back well. Great card. Some iffy fights that I don't really go over here, but overall a great card with some great fights, some great finishes. Salt Papi, Gib, Jarvis, guys growing their names, continuing to up the levels, and it's great to see. I'm excited to see what's next for all of these guys. That's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more combat sports updates, content, reactions, whatever. The support is much appreciated. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.